So now that you have this app already built, you have a great outline to change. I recommend everyone build a digital protege. I think this is one of the best use cases for AI, which is just help you write things faster. And remember our framework, we talk a lot of times, the AI sandwich. It's always going to start with you asking a question, AI building something, and then you editing it again. So don't think about this like taking you out of the equation. Instead, think about it as creating great rough drafts for you that you can use. So once you're in this application, you can go into these instructions and edit them. So anything with a bracket and an X is where you could quickly make changes if you want to create a copyright one. So if you want to create a copywriter, you could just say in the tone and style of May, right? You can put your name in there. In my case, I'm going to say Scott, or it could be in the style of Chipp, custom GPT software provider, right? Something like that. So whatever the thing is, whether it's a company or person, you can put that in. Then you can go down here and you can see the instructions. If you want to change those, you could. You don't have to. And then you could change the name here, first person pronoun, and then here's the step prompts, right? So what you can do now is just go into this and put your own examples. So here's an example of a YouTube summary. So if you're a YouTuber, you can put in your YouTube summary. If you're not, you just delete that, right? If you want to help it create blog posts, you can just put in blog posts examples here or as files, which I'll show you in a second. Same thing with email, same thing with LinkedIn, right? So you can basically just edit the examples section and you have your protege, right? I would edit this one to be like Chipp and you can see the questions. So that would be if you want to just take what exists, create your own digital protege. If you want to instead take the idea you've been working on, you could actually just delete my stuff, right? And put in the ideas you just shared. So instead of a skilled copywriter, you are a skilled chef cooking Indian food. And I could just go back and paste in the pieces that you just said. Totally optional. Maybe you don't need those, right? If it's a simple thing. And now let's just show you one other way to customize. So once you have this template in here, you can edit it as much as you want. The last step is you can add knowledge sources. So anything that doesn't fit in the context window or anything that's maybe harder to get, like a video or a URL, you can do that through the knowledge source. So if Erwin maybe doesn't have a recipe, he could just search for best Indian naan recipe. We'll see how this is. And I can go grab this fluffy, bubbly, chewy, and I'm going to take this URL now. And then on my Chipp chat, I can just click on the URL section, add this in, and do naan recipe. And this is now going to give an example of a great Indian naan recipe. So if I'm asking for naan, it's going to take that information from that. By default, these just take the URL you give it, and they're not automatically refreshed. So if you want your about page and your pricing page, you'd upload those separately. If your pricing page changes, you'd come back in and delete it and then re-add it is how we have it now. So those knowledge sources live here. My favorite one is probably YouTube. So if you think about May as a teacher, there's a lot of content about teaching Spanish, right? Examples. You can add those videos in. What we're actually doing, we're not taking the captions. We're actually taking the entire video and putting it into Markdown. So we're transcribing the entire thing, putting it into Markdown, and then allowing Chipp to search that. Once a YouTube link has been added anywhere on the Chipp network, it is then cached basically. So it's also super fast. So one thing you can know is that you can add that as a builder, right? So you can add that as a knowledge source here. You can also ask your user to do it. So if we put this digital protege into action, it's going to do that step prompt. So first it's going to ask about, what do I want? I'm going to say blog post. And then it's probably going to ask me at some point, okay, keywords, let's do AI for education. And it'll ask me if there's a transcript or document. So I could add in a YouTube video. I could add in a file by clicking this and uploading like a transcript that I have of like maybe an interview. I could add in an image even. So one of the ways that I use this digital protege is I do interviews with people like Erwin for our YouTube channel. And what I'll do is take the transcript from my video software, and then I'll put that entire transcript in here, and then I'll have it create all my different content types off of that interview. So it'll create the YouTube summary, it'll create a LinkedIn post, it'll create a blog post. And that way it's able to take one core piece of content, which is the interview, and then create lots of different content off of it. So you can see this is really powerful, and we could take it even the final step. We can add a goal here. Sorry, not a goal. Let's go into the share one more time, into chats, and we're actually going to export this. So I could go into the chat log and click on that little gear, and I can actually push this out to my Google Sheet. So you can imagine if you are creating content, you maybe have a content manager or somebody, they could just go through this Google Sheet and take my protege blog posts from the sheet into wherever platform they want to. So that's a really nice way to get your content out automatically. And we have some fun ways that you can do that coming up next week, where we're adding custom actions where you can actually send this directly to Gmail, directly to WordPress, whatever it might be.